Hey then. Hey, Happy New Year. Jerrel here. Uh, I'm just doing a silent stream here. I haven't told anyone about it, but I thought it'd be just a good way to do a video and show you guys what I'm working on here on our Silver Falls games. So yeah, I'm live streaming at the moment, but I haven't told anyone, so I'm not. I don't expect anyone to show up. This saves me quite a fair bit of time recording and uploading to YouTube. So I've been a bit quiet on social media and everything else as I'm 100% focused on getting White Inside Its Umbra totally finished. It's really far in development, just some things to finish and then get that submitted to Nintendo. So what I want to work on with you guys today and share with you is uh, I'll be creating the environment that the story mode for White Inside Its Umbra takes place in. So I'll just play a little bit of Silver Falls soundtrack here. Here we go. Hope that's not too loud. Here we go. Anyway, I'm enjoying a coffee. I hope you grab one for yourself too. Okay then. Yeah, I've had to hide a few of my tools for legal reasons and whatnot in terms of the development kit. So we only have the scene view here in Unity. So I've already created this primary terrain here. And what I like to do is I like to create labels just to keep things organized. Actually, what can I do here? I'm going to create, here's what I'll do. Bring my hierarchy over here. And my inspector, just to show you guys what I'm working on. So what I'm going to do is go in and label this labels. Okay. Create an empty, and I want the name to show up now. So I'm just going to say parking lot. I'm going to make that a child of labels. I'm actually going to make sure this is editor only, so it's not built into the actual game itself. I'm going to click on this fella, and he is going to be one of these. I'll make it blue. Yeah, there we go. So if I move these out of the way, let's see, I'll press F. Okay, it hasn't shown up. What I'm going to do now is increase, check my gizmos here. Alright, my gizmos are kind of small. I'm going to make them real big. And I'm going to make sure that I have my my hierarchy has disappeared. So that's why you don't really want these windows floating around. Okay, I'm going to get my hierarchy back. Parking lot. Again, I'll press F to zoom in on it. There we go. And I'll put that fella just here. Okay, and I'm actually going to put my hierarchy back to where it was now. Okay, we'll go to Windows, General, Hierarchy. I'm going to dock that back into my main Unity editor. Now, if I duplicate this guy, I'll sort of say, oh, let's see here. I'm going to press Control D to duplicate as a shortcut. I'm going to call this, I'm going to rename this fella here, main path. There we go. And so, what I'm using is a tool for Unity called a World Creator Terrain. I haven't been using it for very long. I'm still learning it. So I'm not a great person to explain it, but if you use Unity and you're looking for a tool to use to build terrains, this is one that I can recommend. It has a bit of a learning curve. There's a lot of quirks to it, and it can very easily go wrong when you're first starting out. But it's a very powerful tool that can help you. For starters, one thing that it automates is you can set the angle, the terrain angle, so that if the terrain has a particular slope, it'll fill in a certain uh, material or texture. So you can see I have a rock wall there, so I didn't have to hand paint that. But I'm using a newer version of Unity. It says 2019. I have to export this terrain once I'm done and bring it back into an older version of Unity, which I use for developing on the Nintendo WiiU. So I won't be able to keep any of this splat data for the textures, so I'll have to paint everything by hand again, which I'm going to try and speed run later tonight, right? So what I want to do now is go ahead. All right, so this might be a little bit spoilery, but it also is sort of like, oh cool, you know, it's like a behind the scenes pro tips for when you're playing the game. You'll know that there's a couple sort of out of the way secret areas to find. So I'm just going to call this a high grove, and I'll remember that I need to put some trees and details there so I don't forget that is there. Now for scale, I'll show you just how large the area is. Let's go ahead and click that, get the gizmos out of the way. I hope the music isn't too loud. I guess I'll find out. I'm just going to turn the music down a little bit in case it's a little too loud. I don't know. All right. We have Romanik here. Oh. And if he sort of stands at this peak here, so these textures are all placeholders, so the scale is not right at all. So if he stands sort of here and looks down into the valley, you get a scale of how large the environment is. I would like it to be bigger, but I'm worried about the limitations of the WiiU itself, which might cause some problems. So I'm just going to have to be very conservative, and I'm going to have to fill in the backgrounds with inaccessible terrain, okay, to help the world build the illusion of size and scale. So if I bring him there, okay, if I hold F as I move Romanik around, the camera should follow. Whoa! Okay then, sorry. Gave me a bit of a jump, but he's gone off the map. Let's do that a few times. Right, so unfortunately, holding F to follow an object doesn't work great, as you just saw. An older version of Unity used to have double tap F, and that would follow the object. It worked way better. Unfortunately, that feature seems to be gone, so you'll just have to live with it, okay? So I like to put him here so I can see the scale of my environment here, and I can make sure that the slopes aren't too steep and that the environment makes sense. Okay, so you might be looking at these funny, extremely steep things here. So these really steep walls, these are not hand created, they are procedurally generated using a road tool. So I'll show you how that works here. It's this guy. I'm just going to have him sitting off to the side here so I can re-grab him when I need it. When I'm looking off to the side, I've got a few other monitors here that have my workspace on there. Alrighty. Go to post and then roads and rivers. I want to find this. I've got my early main path. Let's go to edit road. So you can see those define the road details, but it's quite finicky. It can be very difficult to work with. So you see, you don't really get a real-time demonstration of what's happening here. So what I want to do is maybe if I move him out a little bit, let's see what happens. Okay, just re-grab my window here. If I generate CPU, we'll see if it's better, worse, or about the same. Okay, sometimes it'll go totally flat. You just hit generate again. Okay, it's a bit worse. I see you've got a bit of a cavern in there. So I guess I'll sort of... Okay, what if I bring it in a bit? Because I want to get rid of that funny little dip in there. And I'm just going to hit generate again. Okay, and I can see that it's still problematic. Let's go ahead. What I'll try to do now is increase the scale of this guy. The problem with this road system is it doesn't do well with these tight pinches. It seems to just struggle around here. I'm going to generate again and then see if that helps. Okay, so that is a little frustrating. It's a little frustrating. You can see you can waste a lot of time trying to fix things like that. So I'm going to make a mental note, and I know that when I am filling in rocks and details, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a boulder there, because procedurally it's wasting my time at this point. And procedurally you don't necessarily have great fine control. And when I bring it, when I export the data and I import it into an older version of Unity, I could fix that with the default terrain tools. So I may do that, or I may just fill in a boulder there. So if you play the final product of the game and you see a boulder there, you'll know why. So what I've done here, I'll just explain this, is I've created a road system to ensure that there is a viable path for the player to walk along as they explore the environment. And you can see the terrain sort of conforms there, and again I can make all the fine adjustments need be later on. Procedurally, I don't want to mess with anything that's there. Okay. And I will go ahead and just exit out of that. I don't want to accidentally, if you touch something, you can accidentally mess things up. And the undo button doesn't seem to work for those, which is can make things a bit difficult. If you accidentally click, for example, if you're moving the map around like that, you can accidentally add points to your road, and then you can really stuff things up. You can accidentally move things just when you're trying to rotate the camera. Here's what I'd like to do. So in my hierarchy, I've pressed, on your hierarchy you can select life by select main path and press F. If I press F on the parking lot, it'll bring me there, which is really nice to use labels when you're developing. I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to bring him over, and I'll press F to zoom right up. Let's go ahead and bring that up. Press F again. What I want to do now is leave myself a mental note and then make it again easy to navigate. Here we go. I want to put a pond in here. I'd like to put it about here. Yeah. Again, I'll change the name of this fella, and I will put pond. There we go. I've got some Frontier Fighters music playing, if you have any fans of Frontier Fighters out there from 3 Down Stars. Okay, so that's a nice little mental note for me. I can put a pond there. There are certain areas where I know I'll have to build up the terrain, and I'll just make use of some invisible walls to ensure that the player can't go up here. Once they go up here, the illusion is broken. They know that the world ends there. But if I make sure they never go up past this point, I can maintain the illusion that the world keeps going. So now procedurally, there's a lot of noise. And it's very difficult to make any sort of adjustment procedurally, because if I try to reduce that spikiness, it could end up destroying my pathways, which work at the moment. So I guess I'll try to fix a few things here. One thing I want to fix is this area here. I think that doesn't look good. The slope there is much too sharp. So I am going to click on my world terrain. My music might be a bit loud now, isn't it? Okay. Let's click on my roads and rivers. This is my early main path. I want to edit that. So the way that I intend to fix that is I will increase the scale of this guy. So scale, I'll just expand it a bit. Okay, and expand that a bit. I will generate and we'll see what happens. Okay, and it's gone. I apologize if there is anyone saying anything. I don't have the window open, but I haven't publicized the stream, so I don't expect anyone to show up. I'm just makes it easier for me to put this up on YouTube. Okay, so you can see that's starting to look a bit more natural because the slope is becoming more smooth. I'm just going to do that a little bit more. So I'll increase the width of that. I want to look for spots that don't look natural, and I'm going to increase the width so that it looks more natural. Okay, that looks better. Now this spot doesn't look so good, does it? That looks a bit unnatural. We have two spots that we want to address now. Let's see. And this probably looks fine. That looks fine to me. That looks okay. This, let's go ahead and increase that a bit. All right, let's look for a few more areas that don't seem that natural. Alrighty. Okay, let's go ahead and increase this a bit. The slope looks a bit more natural. Okay. The frontier fighters move it. Okay, let's finish editing. Generate and see if it looks better, worse, or about the same. See if it flattens the terrain again. We'll find out. Taking a little longer that time. Okay, so that actually smoothened that out. That actually helps the terrain look quite a bit more natural, but this is a problematic area in here. I'm worried if the player falls in there, what's going to happen? Are they going to get stuck if they fall in there? Let's go ahead and look at my road again and see what's happening. Oh, interesting. My computer seems to be chugging along at the moment, and I'm worried that Windows is doing stuff in the background that's using up my resources, so that's cool. I love how Windows 10 can do whatever it wants, even though I want to use my resources. Windows 10 has its own objectives and priorities. Okay, probably fine. Let's go ahead and have a look at the first area now. Let's go ahead and click. I'm just going to open my task manager. I'm going to see what's using up my resources because it shouldn't be chugging like this, and I got a feeling Windows is doing stuff. Windows 10 is always doing something. What do you want, Windows? Let's see. Cool, I think there's like some antivirus that's using up my system resources. Nice. That's classy. Classy. Okay. Come on, task manager. Let's see. All right. Now, when I create an environment for my games, I try to make it so, it depends on what the purpose of your environment is. I try to make it so that you aren't forcing the player to explore the environment in just one way, that there are alternate routes to achieve an objective and to reach your goal. And I'd like to make it so the player is rewarded for exploring and going off paths. So uh, I try to keep in mind a tangible reward, something like a health item or some ammunition. And then I try to also think of less tangible rewards, like a cool view. A player gets somewhere and all of a sudden they can, see a huge portion of the map. Those are things that I like to keep in mind. Now, I want to try to get rid of these. It's quite a bit spiky here, isn't it? Let's see if I can fix how spiky this is. Gee, that's a bit rough, isn't it? Okay. Okay. Let's go to our roads. Small early path. Okay. Quick edit road. Let's see. What I suppose I'll try. I'll increase the overall width by 5, and then I'll increase the smoothness, and then let's see what happens. Generate. Hopefully that helps it look more natural. Okay, it's disappeared. Just run it again. Okay, so yeah, overall it looks a little more natural, but now we have a problem here. This part of the path has disappeared because I've increased the smoothness. You can see that that pinch here, directly below it, has caused that problem. So what I'll try to do now is move this guy and see if I can get this path to be functional again. If I go like that. Okay. Let's try that. Everything else is still... Oof, that looks rough there, doesn't it? So what I'll do is I will raise these so that there's less of a sharp spike in the terrain. Let's go ahead and try that. I'll generate, and then we'll see if it's any better. Yeah, that's a bit more natural, isn't it? So make sure my path is functional. There's a little bit of a difficult, funny bit here. I'm going to have to fine-tune this area a little just to make sure that the player can comfortably climb up that slope. You can see the slope isn't that functional. Okay, let's go ahead and try it again. Small early path. Oh, accidentally disabled it. Go ahead and click to edit. Now what can I do to try to alleviate the problems here? I want to get rid of that pinch. What I will do is lower that a little. Bit of a funny pinch there. I want to get rid of those pinches. See, here's what's a bit annoying. I click to rotate, right? And then I let go of my rotation, but then I end up selecting a new point. And if I'm on add mode, it'll keep adding new pieces all over the place. It's something that's up with the tool, and you just have to keep it in mind. I'm not sure if the developers of the tool will fix that in the future. But it's not a deal breaker. It's just something you need to keep in mind when you're working on a game. All right. There's a bit of a bad pinch there, isn't there? Okay, I'll try to alleviate that by bringing this out. I'm going to bring these pieces out a bit. Oh, I do want to select this. Come on, let me select that, please. All right. I'll bring them out there. We'll bring these out. Bring these out so there's less of a pinch. Okay, bring this in so there's less of a pinch there. I'll look from above. Okay. I'll swing this out so there's less of a pinch. I want to bring these farther out so we don't have a conflict there. I've alleviated the pinch there a fair bit, so we should get a more workable path. And what I would like to do is raise that up now. And then, oh, come on, select that. Raise that up a bit so we can get rid of some of these harsh spikes here. A bit too sharp, aren't they? Okay, I'm going to regenerate, and we'll see what happens here. So this area is a bit better now. That's quite unpleasant to look at. You have a bit of a dip in the terrain there, but this is workable. See, that's not workable, but this area looks a bit better. Okay, let's go ahead and try and fix that. So you can see that's a result of this pinch here. We'll have to do something about it. If I can alleviate the pinch. Okay, if I bring this in a bit. What I'm going to do on this is actually try to reduce the scale so that there's less overlap. This area seems to work. I'm going to increase the overall width, and then I'm going to increase the smoothness just a bit more and see what happens. If we can get this looking a little more natural. Ooh, that area doesn't look good, does it? Okay. This is just very rough. Let's see, and okay, so the path is much more workable now. This is quite steep there, but it's looking more natural, and it is workable. Okay. So what I'll do is save, go ahead and grab Romanik here, and bring him up here. I can close this task manager. Oh, I've lost my object selection. Check that the scale for Romanik is correct or good enough. I'll turn off the gizmos. Let's see here. That doesn't seem too bad. Oh, here we go. Gee, it sure is choppy, isn't it? Alright, so if we have a look at Romanik there, if you want those leaves to make a bit more sense, let's go ahead back to our World Creator Terrain, texturing, click on this guy. Let's change that to 5. Okay, how's it look? It's supposed to change that dynamically. Oh, generate. See what it says. Again, I'll have to hand paint all this. That's just placeholder. That textures here don't really mean anything, but they help me understand where my slopes are. I really want to get rid of these chunky boys. Okay, cool. I'll have to generate again. Yeah, them spiky bits. Gonna have to do something about that. Again, I'm still new to using World Creator for Unity, so eventually I'll figure it out and I'll be able to use it faster. So once I have the overall shape of my terrain done, then I will be placing my rocks, trees, and this is a big area, but I'm being a bit economical because I'm quite crunched for time to get this game developed. So what I'm planning on doing is really the traversable area will be here, here, along here, in there, and a bit over here. So it's not going to be the biggest traversable game. It's mostly open world. You can go wherever, do what you want. Let's see. Ah, man, that steep slope is too steep. I can see that now. It is too steep. We'll have to do something about that. Okay. So I know that there would be difficulty in climbing that. This is, let's see. Now what I can do is start building up from here. Change that to move mode. Come on, I want to select the point, please. Please let me select. I'm clicking. There we go. Okay, it's this corner. It's just giving me problems, isn't it? The problem is I tried to alleviate that pinch, but it resulted in a bit of a funny spot there. That is too steep, and it has an easier time getting through there. Now this spot has, I'm going to have to reduce that pinch there in that corner, so let's go ahead and bring that in like that. Bring that in like that. Alright, let's generate and see if it's any better. That slope, that corner's making things difficult. And that looks workable. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and select Romanik. Looking at the slope here. Yep. I'm just eyeballing it, but I can tell this is going to be workable. The player will be able to traverse up that. Let's see, can they traverse up here? Oop. Yep, everything looks fine. So as you make it up the path, you'll end up here, and then you can sort of enjoy your surroundings, look around. Okay, now what I want to try to do is reduce the bumpiness. You see I've got a lot of this stuff. I'm a little bit worried about doing that. A couple ways to do that. But I guess first I'll try general. A little bit worrying adjusting these guys because the undo button doesn't work for this. Now I'm gonna try one of these. I was experimenting a bit. I'm just going to remember they're at 100. You know, this is default, that's 86. I'm gonna bring that down to 58. Let's see what happens. Generate. Just want to get rid of these spiky bits, eh? Okay. Hit that button again. Ah, it's getting a bit cold. Well, because it went flat, I can't tell what happened. Let's put that back at 100. And then see if I can get this. Just generate the normal ways. Does that look smoother? Let's go ahead and hit 40. Maybe that's smoother. I'm going to bring this down to 40 as well. And see if that gets rid of more of those spiky bits. Okay, yeah. Alright, that looks more natural. So it loses that sharp definition, that harshness. Okay. The slope angles have really eased. Looks more natural. Just make sure my paths are workable. You can still see I do have some, you know. Okay, so this area here doesn't look so good, does it? I think if a player fell in there, you know, it's so sharp in there they might get stuck. Should have made myself a fresh coffee before starting. Huh. There's my world creator window. It has disappeared. Just extend it so I can grab it from the other screen. Rivers. Let's see here. I don't know if the music's too quiet. My bad. Alright. Wrong path. Try this guy. It might be too smooth now. So what I'll try doing, I think it looks quite natural, but I'll reduce the smoothness. Let's try that. Okay, that looks better. This still does not look good to me. See what other adjustments I can make. Oh, you know what? Because this is overlapping into that, it's causing a crater down there. What I will do is adjust the scale on this fella. Let's try that. That might get rid of the crater. Let's find out. Survey says no dice. Maybe that we've increased the smoothness. It's just the smoothness is just too dang high. I'm going to move this in now. It's going to increase that pinch, but let's see if it's any better if I move these in. I just want to get rid of that funny hole there. It looks a bit more natural. It's still not very good, is it? But if I bring that path in too much, it's going to pinch there and cause problems. You can see it's very time consuming, and I don't have a lot of time to finish this game. So eventually I'm going to have to call it, and I'm just going to drop some boulders in there. That's what I'm going to do. Dropping a boulder in there. I'm going to find a way to smooth this out. What can I do about this? It doesn't look good, does it? That looks pretty bad. Looks pretty bad. Alright. I'm going to crank up the smoothness again. Can't see my value. Let's put that there. That seems a little high, but we'll see if we get that a bit more natural looking. Not great. Not great. We can crank that up to 40, see what happens. Not great. We've got big problems. 30, generate. Okay, see, this is not great. This is getting worse and worse, and I'm wasting a lot of time on this. I'm going to reduce the smoothness again. Let's bring that back to 7.4, and I'm just going to have to, I might have to sort that out manually in the older version of Unity that I use for the Wii U. This is not great. Yeah, I'm going to sort that out manually. I'm either going to fill that in with big boulders, but I've wasted too much time on that. This area I think I'll fill in with boulders as well. It's just causing me development problems. This is the problem with procedural tools, is they're great for creating broad strokes, but when you need finer details, they can cause serious problems. And again, I'm not super familiar with this tool because I'm still quite new to using it. But I've put in some effort to try and use it properly, and it's I can see there's certain things that I'm having great difficulty with, so I don't know if there's other ways to deal with that. Okay, now this path here, this slope doesn't look great to me. I'm going to try and fix this. Frontier Fighters music might be a little too loud. I'll wind that down a bit. Why can't I move this? Move? It won't let me move. Okay then, I don't know what's happened. Okay. Right. Let's see. Grab Dominic here. And I'll move him over just to make sure this is workable. Check my slope intensity. Okay, is this path workable? And it's not just about being a workable path, but you need the path to be visually clear so the player understands where the game expects them to go, and you need to give the player the reasonable ability to perform the task that the game expects. Alright, let's try and fix this up. So I can see part of the problem is this slope is so low. Why can't I move this? It's kind of problematic that I cannot... What's going on here? I really, really need to be able to move. Is that the problem? There we go. There we go. User error. Again, I'm still new to using this tool, so of course I'm going to run into some learning curves. I want to try something. If I click add, will it grab the end of the road and put it here, or... Okay, it did. It did. I can't add something in between. So I've recently figured this out. I hold shift and click, it'll go away. I gotta be careful because the undo button doesn't... See? Okay. This is something that really frustrates me. I hold the alt button, I just want to rotate the camera. I let go, it's added a piece of road because I've clicked. It doesn't care that I was holding the alt button to rotate the camera. Luckily I know how to fix that. I hold shift. Control Z doesn't work, that's going to cause problems. Okay, but on move mode. Okay. Go back to move mode. Okay, decrease the pinch. I'll just bring it closer, and I'll make the slope a little bit more reasonable, because that seems a bit too steep. And generate. Okay, so that looks workable. I do a fair bit of hiking. I used to do a lot of backpacking and camping, so I try to think about what paths look like when I'm walking around out there, how paths sort of worm through the environment, how they cling to the terrain in real life, and I try to use that as a sort of basis for my thought process when I'm designing environments. But again, you're limited by your tools and the time that you have and your experience in using those tools. I just want to make sure my paths are still workable. Ooh, that is a steep climb. I'm going to have to do something about that. All right. Now that we have Romanic here, we can... Oh boy. See, I don't think that path was workable. Yeah, that's a bit problematic, isn't it? Okay then. Let us select our guy. Roads of Universe. Edit road. Pretty steep. So what I can do here is raise this part up, because that steepness is all right. I'll have to fix that later. And you can see it's flat there and too steep here. Let's go ahead and I do want to decrease that pinch though. See if we can decrease that. Oh, decrease that pinch. I'm going to try that. Generate. Okay. Now that path looks more workable, but I have a problem here now, and I'm sure that's caused by a pinch. If the player falls in there, that's going to be a soft lock. You ain't getting out of there, boyo. You ain't getting out of that hole. You're going to have to put the lotion in the basket down there. That looks like it. Yeah, you ain't never getting out of there. All right. Okay. Let's try and fix that. Again, what can I do about that? I can see that's caused by this fellow right here. I suppose I can reduce the scale. I need to hope that my path is still workable. So what can reduce that is using this. Bring that in. What can I do to alleviate that congestion there? Okay, and again, I need to pay attention to my incline, my slope angle. Let's go ahead and try that. Let's see if that's any better. Okay, so it is better. There's still a bit of a funny hole there, and I know that the player, you could potentially get stuck in that geometry. What can we do to alleviate it? Now there's a problem here. This is too steep there. It's a time-consuming process, and I don't have. Problem is, I don't have a lot of time to get all this stuff working properly. So again, I think it's going to come down to filling in. Oh, I don't want to cause a problem there. I don't want no trouble. All right, I'm going to have to start dropping boulders everywhere. That's just going to be it, because the majority of the EX game mode, the Frontier Hunters, is finished for Wii U. But this is problematic. This is causing me issues now. See, I'm going to end up increasing the pinch angle on that. And again, you're spinning your wheels. You're going to be wasting hours and hours, and I don't have hours to be spending on this. I just need the map to be workable. Okay, that's working now. Just make sure that you climb up that. So now I just need to make sure this angle works. Ooh, that's rough, isn't it? If I bring this out, what will happen? Let's try that. It's doing that thing where it takes ages again. Please don't go flat. I just really want to. Okay, cool. So that looks better. That's workable. No, actually, it's not. It's not very good, is it? Okay then. Whereas this is something I really need to make sure is working properly. I'm going to reduce the width on this guy, and we'll see if that works any better. Click to finish. This is an instance where I really prefer the newest Unity tools. The Unity tools for carving out paths is actually quite good for the brushes, and it's time consuming because it's a hand tool. It's a manual tool you'd use by hand, but in situations like this, you need those manual tools. Using a procedural tool is not good. As you can see, I'm wasting a lot of time now, and if I were using a hand tool, I would have been done with this a long time ago. So I am getting a little bit frustrated that this is wasting so much of my time, and it's time that I shouldn't be wasting. See, that slope just isn't good. No. Bring that down like that. is an easier slope to process. Okay, let's try this. Please just be fine. I really need to move on. Okay. I'm out of coffee. Let's see. Tell you what, I could go for some Cool Ranch Doritos right now. You know what? That might... it's still this problem here. That's really rough. You know what? Let's just line them up and see. That may be workable. The problem is visually, it doesn't look... it's not easy to visually understand that that's a walkable path. That's the difficulty here. Even though you could physically walk on it, it's not clear to the player that they can walk on it. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually just going to put a rock there, or a boulder, and it's going to serve as a path that walks up there, because this is taking too much time. This is the problem with procedural tools. So they're extremely powerful for broad strokes, which is absolutely what you need. I was able to get to this point using procedural tools. This would have taken a very long time to do with hand tools, but now I'm just going to have to use manual hand tools to make sure everything's quite just right the way it needs to be. Okay, and I am getting a little bit pressured because time is against me. I need to get this into Nintendo. I really need to try to submit it before the end of the month, which isn't a lot of time. So I did get rid of my spiky boys. This is fine. This looks good to me. Okay. I need to make sure all my paths are walkable, and that's what I'll focus on now. And then once I'm sure that they are comfortably walkable, I will be painting them to make them obvious. So this doesn't look good to me. I'll go ahead and fix that up. Let's see, what have we got here? I think this is middle. Yeah. See, the problem is it has a sort of a decline and then a sharp drop. What I'll do now is raise this up, and lower this. Lower that. Okay, let's see if this is any better. Okay, we've lost our terrain again. We'll just generate. No, I do feel a bit of a fear of God a little bit for World Creator for Unity, because I did have a map that I was creating before, and I saved it in a scene. I left it for a few weeks, came back to it, and then it was gone. I was asking World Creator to regenerate it, and it was making it totally flat in the middle, and then only the very edges had the terrain data. So I was a little bit scared because I didn't know what caused that, and I spent a little while trying to figure out what caused it, and I couldn't figure it out. And I don't have the time to figure out what caused that map data to disappear. So I want it to be that once I step away from the procedural tools, I need to make sure I never need to return to them, because I don't have the time for that. Okay, so I'm looking at the scale of Romanik here. Yeah, okay, that looks walkable. I just need to visualize his walk up here. Right, and this is my philosophy, in that you shouldn't force the player to make it look like, they have to go in one particular route. So this is quite straight here. I'm going to see what I can do about this. But once they get up here, it feels like it's free. I'm going to have a lot of trees, a lot of detail, a lot of boulders, flowers. They walk through here, and it feels like, whoa, you feel like you can go anywhere. Even though you can't, you should feel like it. I'm going to use some invisible walls to stop the player from going off the cliff there. I'll be painting it in a way that makes it clear where you can and cannot go. And then eventually this huge area that will make you feel like you can go anywhere will gently funnel you and lead you to this area. And then as you feel like you know which way the game wants you to go, you look left and right, and it feels like, oh, okay, there's multiple ways I can go. I'll have a little pond here. And that helps build a sense of freedom, in that there isn't any real freedom in a video game. You're only ever doing exactly what the developer intended you to do, but there should be a feeling of freedom. And something intangible that's extremely important that makes a game feel good is what the developer keeps in mind in terms of eliciting a feeling from a player. And that a lot of things play into that. It's very difficult to get a handle on that, but it's something that if the developer doesn't think about the feeling that they're trying to share with the player, it's not going to be there. You're going to get, you know, an accidental feeling, and you have no control over that. And that's where you can end up with some real negativity, because it just feels like the developer didn't put in enough effort into developing the game. Okay. Now I feel like this... Where's my path? Oh, right. Okay, so this will be an open area, and then it'll be that you have to turn here. This slope is a bit rough here, isn't it? No, I think that's fine. Let's go ahead and bring Romanik over. Let's see how this looks. Oh, okay. That might... No. It's probably... Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, then. Okay. Ooh, that is a steep... It's workable, okay? It's obvious, it's clear, it's workable. Okay, and at this point, the player can sort of... Again, after I have this sort of a narrow pathway, I like to open up a bit and make it at least feel like there's some freedom. I can put some details up here. The player can explore this upper area so they don't necessarily feel like they're forced to walk down. I'm going to paint this cliff wall. There'll be an invisible wall there, so that the player can't just fall down there, and I'll make it so that it is guiding them into this next smaller area. And then as they explore this open area, they can explore here. There will be a path that leads down yet again. So when it comes to these large open areas, I don't just randomly drop trees. In my mind, I think of, you wouldn't call it a biome, I guess, but well, I suppose you could sort of consider it like a biome, in that I have specific areas, and I think, okay, well, this specific, biome will have these trees. This is the kind of details that it'll have, and it'll feel like its own little section. And that's how I plan out these areas, so I know that I can make them more densely detailed, and that visually it sort of leads the player into thinking, oh, I should be going there. And then I use smaller, less sparsely detailed paths to help lead the player in that direction. Okay, I think this is good. I think it's going to be a big job painting this, woo-nilly. Okay then, what I'm going to do is format this. I'm going to get this into the next part, where I'll be populating with trees and boulders, and then I suppose I'll keep doing that, because I should be able to work pretty quickly doing all that stuff. So before that, I'll just go ahead and fix this. See if I can fix that. We'll go... Oh, see, that's real funny, ain't it? I'm going to, just so it's not a boring straight path in, what can I do? Alright, that alleviates that pinch there. Well, if I alleviate that pinch and bring it in like that, that means that I can bring... Oh, no. Okay, undo won't work. Right, hold on. If I bring it in like that... Oh, yeah, look! Okay, let's fix that. Okay, and I don't want to have a straight path. Straight lines are kind of the enemy when it comes to game design. Alright. Right, and we've eased up that angle. Let's go ahead and generate that, and then let's see how it looks. Okay. Ooh, generate that one more time, why don't we? And let's see. Is this workable? We have a problem here. We have a problem. this is causing problems here. What if I go like that? Decrease the scale on this guy. Come on then. You know what? I'm gonna stick a boulder there. I don't have time to muck around with this anymore. I'm gonna just drop a boulder there. Hold a boulder on it. Okay. I'm gonna put a boulder on there. I don't have time for this anymore. Let's go ahead and fix this slope. Okay. If you're playing this game at some point in the future and then you're noticing a whole bunch of boulders everywhere, you're gonna know why. It just I don't have the time to fix up all the pinches in this. I just want to fix these slopes, make sure this path is walkable. Oh no! You know what happened? Because I have a bit of this window sticking out on my other side of the screen, I accidentally clicked Align to Terrain Height. That actually reset all my points, and it adjusted all of my points, so it fixed itself to the terrain height, but it messed up my placement, and that's what's caused these issues. That's a real bummer, and that's my fault for dangling. I shouldn't have dangled. Okay, that's a bad button. Ooh, that really messed things up for me. I'm just gonna have to fix this now. My fault, my problem. Again, I'm not super familiar with the tools, so I brought that problem upon myself. Next time, I will make sure I do not dangle. See if I can fix this pinch though. That's a bit of a bummer. That's a bit of a bummer. Okay. Alright, can I get this path? Okay. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna drop a boulder there, I don't have time for this anymore. I really need to get to the next stage. So I'm just gonna fix this slope, and then that's it. Alright. Yeah, that's problematic. That's a bummer, that spot. It's quite irritating. What can I do about this pinch? What if I bring it? Let's try and bring it out here and see what happens. How's it looking? This spot is just really... This spot's killing me here. It's killing me. This is really causing me some grief. This is very sucky is the word that I'll use. This is a little sucky. All right. Oop. I'll bring it in a bit. Actually, I'm just gonna try this. That's fine. I'm putting a boulder on that. No, this part here. Why? Okay. Let's try that. See, that's sort of stepping there. That's what's causing the problem. You know what? Nice. That's doable. doable. Okay, I'm gonna drop a bunch of boulders there. Let's see, I just gotta make sure this is, see, this is all sorts of jacked up here. If I expand that, does it get any better or worse? If I bring it out, that'll alleviate the pinch a little. Let's try that, see if that's any better. It is way, way worse. All right, let's decrease the scale of that then. So let's see if that's any better. That's frustrating. Okay. This is wasting a ton of my time that I don't have. I'm gonna bring him out just a bit more. Bring him in like that, and let's see if that makes it any better. Let's try that. Wow, this is hugely frustrating. I need that path to be better. Okay, let's see, click to edit. And this is, it's not great. This is not great. I'm gonna bring it in a bit like that. Let's see what effect that has. Because I really need this path to be walkable. Okay, I think that's acceptable. I'm gonna put a boulder there. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Put a boulder in it. Put a boulder there. Put a boulder there. Those are some sharp hairpin turns. Look. Okay, that's it. I've wasted so much time on this. Anyway, I don't know. I hope that was interesting for you. You can see the sort of the struggles you have to deal with all sorts of different tools. If I didn't have to rely on the procedural tools and I was just using manual tools for that, it would have been much better. And I used fully manual tools for the environments in episode Prelude. If you look at the mountains in there, the mountain area, there's no procedural tools. That was all done by hand. And it took a lot longer, but I had much better control, so it wasn't frustrating like this. Anyway, I'm going to format this and bring it into the next stage where I can populate it with trees and boulders. So I guess I'll carry on from there. Okay. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I guess I'll see you around. Take care.